we're back. Let's see how long the clock takes. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, 10 seconds. All right, there we go. What do you know? I got a screen. Okay, so y'all can see me. Puff of smoke to start the whole thing out. All right, happy Tuesday night, guys. We are back, and let's see if you guys can see me. I see a bunch of. There it comes. Okay, let's see. Mortimer, Prep Rebel, Finley, Salt Mist, Janelle, Circe, New York Budget Prepper, Carl Lynn, Emma Bryan, George's Garden, Krista Cat, and the list goes on and on. Happy Tuesday. Okay. So we are finally back home, still trying to recover from the lack of sleep over the weekend. But yesterday, of course, was quite busy because it's like, oh God, get out and pick corn, pick tomatoes, pick beans, pick peppers, because there were 4 days of stuff coming in while we were gone, and so it was getting crazy. So tomorrow will be the salsa making day. That'll be around here with what we got in the way of tomatoes and peppers and my onions and things like that. So we'll turn all that in. So that was that. But I wanted to thank everybody for deciding to watch me instead of the drunk fest that is Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. God, watch just a couple of clips on there. It's like, all right, we're going to give the same speech with the same lies over and over again and cackle our way through the whole thing. So just embarrassing and I'm not saying that being partisan at all. It's just, I look at that and I go, that's what you want to run the country? Are you kidding me? I mean, we really, really need better choices in this country. I mean, because when 2028 rolls around, who's next? I mean, this is it. And it's, I watched a speech that Ron DeSantis gave today, and it was weak. I mean, I will say that DeSantis's policies have been good for Florida, no problem. But he's got about as much personality as a wet piece of bread, And I mean, what are we going to have? Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or Josh Shapiro? I mean, the choices we have are just atrocious. It's just, where are the John Kennedys or the Dwight Eisenhowers or the Ronald Reagans, somebody that actually had convictions and was articulate about them, believed in what they were saying. I mean, the whole deal tonight of, well, yeah, now that Kamala Harris has picked her running mate, now they will try to move toward the center. It's like, okay, so you're telling me that you're going to lie to the people. I'm a centrist. Nancy Pelosi saying Tim Walz was a centrist today. That was hilarious. I mean, Walz is further left than Kamala Harris. I mean, he's just Bernie Sanders in a Pillsbury Doughboy outfit. But I just look at this and I'm like, oh my God, you wonder why we're in the trouble we are. It's because of the morons that we have running the country. So fortunately, well, let's see, we're a couple minutes afterwards. I'm going to see if we can get rid of one moron tonight, if we've got anything. Nothing yet. Yeah, tonight's the Missouri primary, so the polls just closed here about 4 minutes ago. So waiting to see if Missouri decided to throw Cori Bush out on her ass and she can join Jamal Bowman as the former squad members, get rid of all of them, sooner the better. I guess Ilhan Omar is up in about was it next week, I think, is Minnesota's primaries. But, hey, we're talking about little Somalia there, so that shouldn't be a problem. Another one of Tim Walz's great claims to fame, he changed the Minnesota state flag to look practically exactly the same as the Somalian flag. So, that'll tell you how bad it is. I mean, it's just sad that these enclaves of, small areas. You know, a city, Minnesota. You know, I think I said in this afternoon's video or late morning. You know, you have Minneapolis, St. Paul, and you have up near International Falls is Democrat in Minnesota. The rest of the state is solid red, and yet they get Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, you had Amy Klobuchar. You know, it's like, what are you guys doing? You know, one day maybe we get lucky and liberalism winds up fatal. Uh, you know, the country can get back to normal, but it's just sad. So, but yeah, so that's been the fun today. You guys have probably been watching a lot of the stuff coming out about this pick. I laughed. Reports are he was 12th on her list, and the previous 11 all said no. Because as we said before, this is political suicide. You know, your career's over after losing here. It's not like Tim Walz's career was going any further. I mean, he already spent some time in Congress. Then he went as the governor of Minnesota. Where are you going next? I might as well take a shot at it. You know, if we can cheat our way in, maybe I'm Veep. But that's about the only way to do it. It's again, people have to get it. And I know there's so many people that say voting doesn't matter, yada, yada, yada. We have to make it so there are so many people that vote against Kamala Harris that it's, as the phrase goes, too big to rig. I mean, Trump's going to have to pull 90 million votes. It's just as simple as that because they'll cheat their way to another 80 something. So, you know, we know how that's going to go. All right, let's get into some Q&A. As per normal, if you got questions for me, please put it in all caps, just like everywhere else. Nothing new there. And as per normal, the only other thing on here, the one rule we have on this channel is treat each other with respect, a little bit of dignity. Disagreement's fine. Don't expect you to agree with me on everything. Don't expect you all to agree on everything either. Just do it. If you're going to disagree, just do it politely. That's all I ask. Okay. All right. And we're having fun because YouTube doesn't want to be friendly on the chat room here. All right. So let's see if I can find the questions and we'll roll from there. So let's see where we were. How far up are we going to go? All right, there's 5x5s. Back to basics, living and preparedness. Have any of you tested your blood sugar and compared between store-bought flour and fresh milled flour? It's a big difference. Yeah, I've tested my blood sugar. The issue is not eating any kind of flour. I mean, yes, there were slight cheats over the weekend. But you know, because you're stuck eating in a restaurant. But yeah, I mean, I can't tell you the last time I had bread or anything like that. So yeah, I can't, but I know just doing the carnivore deal, our blood sugar has dropped drastically. Vicky Savage says YouTube is hiding notifications for you. That's no big surprise. You know, you guys know to look every morning. I'm usually up by 7 o'clock, unless uploads are extremely slow or whatever. And then the last couple of days, it's been earlier morning videos because I wasn't going to wait 2 more hours before posting the video at lunchtime when we were talking about a market collapse yesterday or Tim Walz getting picked today. So, but usually around lunch. S. Cook, welcome back, Mr. P, Mrs. P. Glad you all had a good time. It was a good time. The drive sucked, and I mean, you guys can imagine that. I mean, 9.5 hours on the road sucks. But all in all, it was a good time. But we were ready to get home. You know, it was like, okay, everything's done. Let's get home. And you know, it was because we were up until probably midnight-ish or a little later than that. By the time we fall asleep, it's probably 12:30 on Saturday night. And then we were up at 6 in the morning because we had to get on the road by 7. so we get home in time. I mean, again, we got home just short of 5 o'clock, and yeah, you're tired making that drive. So that was the only downside to it. Other than that, we had a good time. Let's see, where are we? Back to basics, living in preparedness. I don't believe half of the citizens of the United States are stupid enough to vote for. I do. Okay. Have you watched some of these videos, on what do you like about Kamala Harris? She's not Trump. She's black. It's like, oh, that's how far your knowledge of what goes on in the country goes. Yeah. Where's Washington, D.C.? Where's the United States on a map? I mean, it amazes me how people can't find the U.S. on a map. Yeah. What I talked about Tim Walz and the reading scores and the math scores today in Minnesota, yeah, half the country is that stupid. Let's see. Scott McHugh, Pinball, do you or anybody else really want those two moronic people? Okay, two, I'm assuming TWO. Two moronic people running America when shit hits the fan. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, I don't want them. I wouldn't want them running the country when we were in the great IT, internet boom of the Bill Clinton era. I mean, Kamala Harris's first big decision, she completely dropped a load, trying to keep it polite. I mean, that had to be. I mean, the Trump camp had to be cheering today when she picked Tim Walz. It's like, okay. Trump talks about Minnesota being in play. Minnesota's not really in play. I mean, it's still a blue state. I mean, she'll still win it by 3, 4, 5%, just the way it is. If she's so worried about the Muslim vote, that one threw me because I went and looked this up today. I'm like, okay, how big are the Muslim population and the Jewish population in the United States? Because figure all the talk, including what I said, is she didn't pick Josh Shapiro because he's Jewish, and she didn't want to offend the Muslim vote that she supposedly needs so bad. There are roughly 10 million Jews in the United States. There are roughly 5 million Muslims. Okay. Where are the populations? In New York, in Michigan, in Illinois, in California, most states that she's not going to lose. She's not going to lose Illinois. She's not going to lose California. She's not going to lose New York. Michigan's kind of on the fence. But Pennsylvania was the big play. Because as I've said many times, if Trump wins Georgia and Pennsylvania, it's over, okay? Nothing else matters. If he wins Nevada and Arizona, which it's likely he will because he's up in about 4 to 5 points in both states right now. All he's got to do is win one of Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, and it's over. Okay. So strategically, tactically, it made complete sense to pick Josh Shapiro, and she didn't. And that's going to piss off a whole bunch of people in Pennsylvania. Good. So I'd say I don't know what they were thinking, but thinking and Democrats do not belong in the same chapter of a book. So, all right. Terry Palazzolo. I'm so concerned that things may not turn out as we want then on November 5th. I haven't forgot the red tsunami in 2022 that didn't really happen. Oh, yeah. Trust me. I've said this. You've heard me say this. I don't want to rest on our laurels because Trump was significantly ahead of Biden, no problem there. And they pulled him because they saw it too. It's a toss-up right now between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Now, granted, she's had the wind at her back for the last couple of weeks because, she was the new shiny object and now she gets the pick of the VP. So just like Trump had that 2 week honeymoon phase around the convention and JD Vance, now Kamala Harris gets it. And Trump's been quiet, letting them have their moment, and then we'll get into things. The interesting part, and this is going to start coming out more and more and more, she's now been the presumptive nominee for 16 days. She's been the official nominee for 1. Okay. She is yet to do a press conference. She is yet to do an interview. She is yet to take a single non-scripted question about anything. If you go to the Harris for President website, nowhere on there is her platform. She spends all the time bitching saying Agenda 2025, which isn't Trump's platform, and how terrible it is, but she doesn't have her platform posted, which tells you she doesn't have one. And when it starts getting a little bit closer, I mean, when we get into September, that's when things start getting serious. Then she's going to have to answer questions. She's going to have to state her case for why you want to vote for me, and I'm not Trump isn't going to do it. And gee, I want abortion allowed nationwide, ain't going to do it. When people are going economy, crime, international affairs, the southern border, people are going to want answers on those. She's going to have to start coming up with them. And that's why they're spending so much time scrubbing the internet right now and not letting her talk, because they don't want to get caught with their pants down and go, oh, we missed one. Thank God for Twitter, because there's a whole bunch of people who've saved all these clips, including me. Okay. So when they come out and say, she never said that. Yes, she did. Here's the clip. Okay. You can't find it? Want to bet? Go to Twitter. Okay. But I agree with you that if she wins in November, let's just put it this way. I made a couple more purchases this morning. Nice, scary black objects. Great price, too. Just saying. Let's see. Von Mousetrap. Yes, I saw this yesterday. Did I hear Nancy say Joe should be on Mount Rushmore? Now, that would be a sight. 2 weeks ago, she wanted to throw him out of office, right? That had to be, I saw that yesterday afternoon. Mrs. P was sitting on the couch. I said, you're not going to believe this one. Nancy Pelosi thinks Joe Biden belongs on Mount Rushmore. And as we both sat there and said, pick someone. Ronald Reagan's not on Mount Rushmore. John F. Kennedy's not on Mount Rushmore. Franklin Roosevelt, the socialist that he is not on Mount Rushmore. Okay. Abraham Lincoln, don't quote me on that. Now all of a sudden I can't picture all 4 heads. Never mind. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of people that would be a lot more deserving. Joe Biden ain't one of them. Barefoot Chickens, Pinball, what is my number one go-to for world news? Okay, if you want to talk about mainstream media, it would be Sky News out of Australia. Would probably be the best place that I can get world news that way. If you're talking about what's going on and then a lot of stuff I'm going to find the original stories on Twitter or something like that, and then I'm going to go look and see if I can find corroborating evidence online in other places, because Twitter, not everybody on Twitter is reliable at all. Okay, there's a lot of fake news out there too, but I will go through and corroborate it. But if you're talking about for mainstream, I'd say Sky News out of Australia. Diana K, I loved your picture with Mrs. P. She came up to your shoulders. She's tall too. No, Mrs. P's 5'6". I'm 6'8". So Mrs. P's normal. I'm tall. I keep telling you guys I'm tall. Now you believe me. Those of you that have met me in person understand I'm tall. I just want to go look at Missouri real quick. No numbers in yet. All right, so that's that. Okay. Let's see. Dave Moran, she wants a mandatory gun buyback. I didn't buy anything from the government, just saying that. Yeah, I mean, she actually said she wants mandatory gun confiscation, is what she wants. She doesn't want a buyback, she wants confiscation. Okay. Her comment was if Congress doesn't do something in her first 100 days, then she's going to do it by executive order. Like, go ahead. You've heard me say this many times. Write it. Good luck enforcing it. I can tell you this, there ain't a sheriff in this county who's going to sit there and go to anybody's door and say, yeah, we're coming to take your weapons. Oh, we're going to get the military. There's less than 2 million people combined on all active duty. Okay. Let's start figuring this out. That includes cooks and clerk typists and supply guys and everything. They're not coming to your door. She can write the law. Good luck enforcing it because ain't nobody listening to it. Karen Tomor, again, I apologize. Kamala is the presumptive nominee. What are the odds that the Obamas throw her under the bus? No, as of this morning, she is the official nominee. They did the roll call vote overnight, and she got 99% of the delegates. So Kamala Harris is the official nominee of the Democrat Party. I mean, she's got to go to the convention and sign off on it, but that's a formality. She's officially the nominee. I know Trump said something today about Joe's going to storm the convention and try to get the nomination back because he was pissed off that she didn't pick Shapiro, and who knows, Trump's a master at trolling as well, but too many people believe too many of the things out there. We'll see, but no, I mean, think about this. She's got 90 days to put a campaign together. They're not going to try to change this and all of a sudden give somebody 60 days or 75 days and go, okay, now you're the next one. I mean, granted, if she gets hit by a bus, little short yellow school bus, maybe, but otherwise, no. Trump will be, again, the held forever for holding women back because he'll only have defeated 2 female candidates. If we can define them as women. Dobie Farrar, any of my classmates know I do YouTube? A few of them asked. One guy actually has a travel blog that he's putting together. They've got the website, and then they post their videos on YouTube and stuff. So we were talking a little bit about it, but it's not like it was a big topic of conversation or anything like that. Pretty much it was where you living, how many kids you got, what you do, are you retired, you still working, moving on. So it was all, it's all small talk. 96R Harris, what should I be getting ready to plant for fall? Depending on where you are, any of your cooler weather crops. So if you want to grow cabbages, lettuces, any of your brassicas, cauliflowers, broccoli, radishes, all that stuff. If you're going in, depending on where you are, if you're in southern Florida, no, you're still growing summer crops. But for most of the country, yeah, you're starting, at this point, you're starting your seed trays with your cool weather crops. I mean, I'll be starting mine here in about a week. Inigo Montoya, I wish I'm a liberal. No more need for thinking, reflecting, or pondering. Just tell me when to dance and let the twerking begin. Yeah, that's it. I mean, if you go back, if you remember, 3 weeks ago, they were trying to figure out, the Democrats were all saying, oh my God, Kamala's terrible. She's a drag on the ticket. We got to figure out how to replace her. And then all of a sudden, Joe had the debate. And it was like, oh, now everybody loves her. Okay, right. They don't love her. She's an opportunist. And the party's desperate. And the only reason she's the nominee is because she was the only one with access to the money. That's it. It's not like they're worried about what decisions she's making. Those are being written for her. She doesn't, any of her own thoughts, no. Okay, let's see where we got lost again. Okay. James Tinsley, boy, there's a loaded question. What's my vision on the future of this country? y'all know what I think is going to be our downfall. Okay, where everybody else like, oh, we're going to have an EMP, we're going to be invaded by China. Those are all after effects. My opinion. You're asking for my opinion. That's what you're going to get. Economically, it doesn't matter who's in the White House. Well, kind of does a little bit. If we can stop the spending. Uh, until we get our financial house in order, we're doomed. I mean, that's literally it, guys. And then one thing leads to another. When the economy finally collapses, then we're ripe for the taking by other countries, i.e., China, okay, who at that point to get rid of the people, an EMP would be the easiest way to do it because within a year we're all 90% of us are dead. And then they just come in and, oh, gee, the buildings are still all intact. The farmland's all still good. And they just come in and rebuild it all. No problem. Okay. Uh, my vision for the future is unless we fix our economic woes, I don't think there's a country left for our kids and our grandkids. Brenda Hall McDonald, and we learned that RFK thought you could take a dead bear to the park and a bicycle with his fingers all over it, and no one would figure it out. I mean, RFK is not a serious candidate. He, it's kind of like and I voted for Ross Perot, but he's kind of like a Ross Perot. He's a spoiler. He's in, he's in the race. He's going to have some sort of uh, vote tally. He won't win any electoral votes, but he's bigger than a Jill Stein or a Cornel West. I mean, everybody knows Jill Stein's name for one thing. She's the Green Party candidate. She is every 4 years. She never gets any votes, and they run her every time. It's like you think eventually you'd learn, hey, nobody wants her. Okay. So she's not serious. RFK is a little bit more of a serious candidate, but the only reason he is because he's got a Kennedy as a name. That's it. If he was Robert F. Jones, he'd be down at 1%, 2%. Josh Brazil, if they do cancel the elections for whatever reason, what do you think the response should or will be? If they cancel the elections, that's because we're in full-blown civil war in the United States, okay? And if we are not, they cancel the elections, we will be in full-blown civil war. Jamie Raskin talking about, like I talked about this morning, saying, oh, if Trump wins, they got to do whatever they can to nullify the election because otherwise there will be a civil war. You nullify the election or cancel it altogether, there will be a civil war. There is no way in the world 100 and some odd million people in this country who are Trump supporters we've been biding our time and waiting, but we are not waiting past November 5th to throw Joe and Commie Cammy out of here. Ann Palmer, love the pic of you and Mrs. P. Had to be out of town for 2 days. Green tomato worms stripped the plants. What can I do to help them? Zone 8B in Louisiana. The easiest thing to do to get the tomato hornworms, easiest thing to do is get out there and just pick them off. They're big enough. Just grab a bag or coffee can or something, put some soapy water in there, just go out, pick them off with your fingers and throw them in soapy water. They'll drown. That's the easiest way to get rid of them. Okay. If you go out in the evenings, when it's getting a little darker, you go out with a black light, then they're really easy to see. I know it's hard to see them during the day because they're the exact same color as the tomato plants. Go out with a black light. That's the easiest way to do it. You get a black light cheap, dollar store or something like that for $5. BS 321. Did I see that Bill Gates' firm is interested in a Bull Run nuclear fusion project? No, that I haven't noticed at all. So know nothing about that. Mountaintop Preps, I miss you. Oh, saw you yesterday. Off-grid living. Busy here getting stocked up on immune boosting supplements, elderberries and such. Good idea. And I mean, as I'm sitting here, I don't know if you noticed, I don't know why, but all of a sudden my eye is getting itchy. And it's like, there's no possible way I've got poison ivy. That's just not, I don't know what I got into, something, but maybe something out in my gardens. Who knows? Please don't tell me I have poison ivy. Yeah, Linda Friesen. I wouldn't want those two running my lawnmower. Yeah, tell me about it. They couldn't run a lemonade stand. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know. North Alabama hiking. What's going on in the UK is exactly why the Second Amendment is so important. That mess wouldn't fly in Alabama or Tennessee. We talked about this a little bit. What's going on in the UK is coming here eventually if we don't put a stop to it. Now, you got to remember that Europe has a different migration problem, illegal immigration problem than we do, okay? They're getting everybody coming up from North Africa and from the Middle East. We're getting everybody from South America, all right? So there's not saying that there aren't problems with MS-13 and gangs and stuff like that, but you don't have this radical ideology of, like all of South America. You don't have radical Hispanicism, coming up trying to kill everybody like you have radical Islam. That they're just like, we're taking over. I mean, that's literally what we're saying. It's not your country anymore. We're taking over. And the stupid part is the government, especially in Great Britain, is protecting the radicals and not protecting their own citizens. I mean, it's nuts. You've got these guys walking around with machetes and axes, and the police are giving them protection against the native Englanders who are unarmed, and they're the ones getting arrested. I mean, I don't know if you saw this, what's going on. The police are now going around in London and stuff, arresting people for making social media posts that are anti-immigration. You don't like the fact that somebody chopped up a dog in your front yard and you post something about it? Oh my God, you've insulted Islam, you're going to jail. That's what's going on right now in Great Britain. Vicky Savage, I remember when Minnesota had one of the highest educational levels in the country, if not the highest. I can't say they were the highest, but they were way up there. I know that. But like I said this morning, and again, I looked that up, that the fourth grade reading and the eighth grade math were the lowest scores in Minnesota in 30 years. Okay. That's a couple of generations of kids. And again, those are going to be your future leaders, and they don't know how to read and they don't know how to add. Jennifer Perry, she got dismissed from the Situation Meeting Room. Yes, if you saw this one, when they were, Kamala Harris yesterday was politely asked to leave the Situation Room yesterday when they were discussing everything that was going on in the Middle East. We don't know why, and of course they'll make some sort of excuse like, oh, she had a plane to catch or something like that, but she was asked to leave. Just Jack from South Carolina. Hey, Pinball, how do you handle personal security when you made a trip like you just did? Okay, so obviously there was a weapon in the front seat of the car at all times. I do carry a shoulder holster, or do wear a shoulder holster. So that was very simple when went out to dinner with a sport coat on, or at the reception itself with a suit on. Very simple to have a shoulder holster on. That is easy. When I'm running around in a pair of shorts, either I will carry a 380, something smaller that I can fit in my pocket, or use an inside waistband holster for my full-size 9mm, which is what I took with me, or my compact. So, again, as I've said many times, there's different weapons for different purposes. I'm not going to carry my CZ in a pair of shorts pockets. It's not going to fit. Okay? But I'm also not going to keep a little subcompact 380 as my defense weapon at all times if I've got a better option. And of course, a better option is a shoulder holster if I'm going to wear a coat. Shoulder holster is great in the winter because you're wearing at least a jacket, if not a heavier overcoat. Very easy to hide, no problem, and you're there. So, but yes, that's how I handled that. Trust me, there was no way I was driving up there unarmed. Nothing against Michigan or Ohio or Kentucky or anything like that, but I never know what I'm going to run into. I mean, give me this as the funny story. Okay, so where we were in Michigan was in Troy, if you guys know where that is. Some of you who live up in Michigan know where it is. Okay, so right off of I-75. While we were there, I talked to friends. We went out to dinner one night, everything, and we were actually talking about carrying. I said, "Oh yeah," I said, "I carry all the time." And I said, "I don't understand anybody that doesn't." And they're like, "Oh, it's not that bad up here, blah, blah, blah. We really don't have to worry about it." I got back to the room in between our lunch and, was that? Yeah, it was in between our lunch and the reception Saturday night. And sure enough, I go into the news, and there's a story of, I don't remember, it was Venezuelan or Colombians, a gang of illegals in Troy, the town I'm in, which was an affluent area, that were breaking into houses. Right there, right where we were. Yeah, that's why I carry. Because you never know where you're going to be. I mean, y'all know the stories. The shooting a year ago or so in a bowling alley. I mean, how many people go bowling and go, there's a chance that somebody could come in here with a gun? Me. Okay. And somebody did. You go to the grocery store, you go to Walmart, you go to the oil change place. You never know where it's going to happen. And the last thing you want to go is, damn, I didn't carry my gun with me, and this is the one time I need it. Limited access. Pinball, just on opinion. Shapiro wasn't chosen because he's in the middle of a hush money sexual harassment suit in Pennsylvania. That could be part of it. I'm 100% in the camp he wasn't picked because he's Jewish. That's the whole thing. I mean, you look at Tim Walls's background. I mean, he's got a DUI that he lied his way out of. He was doing 95 and a 55. Said he was deaf, and so he got it taken down to reckless driving. You look at his stolen valor, saying he's a retired sergeant major. He was not. He never finished sergeant major's course. And so therefore he would have been demoted back to master sergeant. He says, "Oh, I signed up for a 4-year reenlistment," when the military says he signed up for a 6-year reenlistment. But even if he signed up for a 4-year reenlistment, he didn't finish out those 4 years. He left like months early, whether or not he had vacation or something, who knows. But, he left right as his unit, as he's the command sergeant major, acting command sergeant major, in charge of all the enlisted guys, at, battalion level at that point. Sorry, guys, I'm not going. I'm too chicken to go. Okay. Yeah. He's going, his skeletons came out really fast today. And so you'll see in the next couple of days, they're going to be doing damage control on Tim Wells. Kathy Shelley, do I really think Harris picked the VP? She was given a list to go down. And I mean, I no doubt that Gavin Newsom and Michelle Obama and Gretchen Whitmer and Andy Beshear and Josh Shapiro and God knows how many other people around it. And they kept on going down the list, and people kept saying no, 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 until we finally got to Tim Walz, who says, gee, I got nothing left to lose in a career, and okay, I'll do it. You know, there's a lot being made of Josh Shapiro not getting it and being pissed off about it. I don't know if he necessarily wanted it. Josh Shapiro wants president. He doesn't want Veep. Okay, and I can't think that on the off shot somehow they cheated Kami into the White House. I don't think anybody wants to be ever known as her understudy. So, yeah, I get the feeling that's why a lot of people said no. Silicon Valley CA. Kamala said, current technology is great because no hardware is now needed to store your data since it's stored above us in clouds. Yeah, seeing the video on her trying to explain cloud technology, I'm just like, oh my God, lady, you are such a moron. But Mima Prepper 976, do I think the attacks on the U.S. military in the Middle East will ramp up? I don't know. I mean, you're at that point, you're asking me to get in the heads of the Iranians or Hezbollah. That, I mean, obviously they're all on high alert, but what negotiations are going on in the background? I mean, is Joe out there going, hey, you know what? We can send you two pellets full of cash this time if you stop. I don't know. What I do think, let's give you this, is that Putin, Zelensky, Hezbollah, Iran, Netanyahu all want this all over before the election or right at the election, because if Trump wins, everything they think has just been changed. And there's going to be some winners and some losers, but Zelensky's going, shit, the gravy train's over. Hamas is going, crap, we know which side Trump's aligning with, so yeah. Redbird Acres, I still don't understand the legality of how she is the nominee. Well, here's the deal. I mean, and everybody keeps on getting into the legality. First off, to dispel any of the rumors, yes, she's eligible to be president. She was born in Oakland, California. It doesn't matter that her parents were not citizens. This is what we've all talked about with anchor babies forever. She's an anchor baby. Okay. She is a natural born citizen. Yes, she is eligible. She's over 35. She's a natural born citizen. She's eligible. So how she's the nominee there, that's the easy part. After that, there is no law that states how a candidate is chosen. The parties pick their candidates. The nomination process for the Democrats is different than the nomination process for the Republicans. Okay? It's the parties that pick it. It's not federal election law or whatever that says how you pick your candidate. If they wanted to come up and say, Barack Obama is the leader of the Democrat Party, he's going to pick the next candidate, that's fine. They can do that. Okay. Then they go through and, do all the states agree? And all the electors who have already, you got to remember how this works. Okay. They take everybody to popular vote when we all go to the polls, just like in a presidential campaign. Okay. We don't vote directly for the president. When I go vote in November, I am not voting for Donald Trump. I am voting for the elector who's already pledged his vote to Donald Trump. That's how that works. So we, the public, have already voted for all the electors. The electors on the Democrat side were all committed to vote for Joe Biden until Joe Biden said, I'm dropping out of the race and I'm endorsing Kamala Harris, and I release all my delegates, my electors, to vote for Kamala Harris, just like Nikki Haley did at the RNC. She released all her electors and said, I want you to vote for Donald Trump. That's how it works. It's totally above board. It's totally legal. And I mean, there's they can do whatever they want, you know. Now the laws came into play about the money and things like that. Those are different. Okay. But choosing a candidate, the parties choose how they choose a candidate, not the federal election laws. Because think about some states. Some states have caucuses, some states have primaries, you know. Michigan, I think, does both. Uh, so it all depends on what the party wants to do. Do. Okay. Healthy disrespect. Do I think RFK will stay in the race to further tank heels up? He's in the race, but I mean, he is, but he's not. I mean, if his name's on the ballot, his name's on the ballot. But it's not like he's out campaigning or anything like that. He does an interview here and there just to keep his name in the press. But I mean, like I said, he's not a serious threat. He's not a serious candidate. Will he siphon off some votes? Yeah, but probably pretty much equal from both sides. You'll have the, oh my God, Kamala Harris is just a complete moron. I'm going to vote for RFK. I could never vote for Trump. And then you have the ones, I could never vote for Trump. I'm not voting for Harris. So, I've got to vote for somebody, Jill Stein, Cornel West. That's not going to happen. So, I mean, he'll probably get 8 or 9% of the popular vote, just like, Russ Perot got near 20, but it wasn't enough to win anything. Von Mousetrap, this was all planned. Remember, you and lots of other people talked about this. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is all falling according to plan. And we all called it a year and a half ago and said, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. I mean, you can go back to my January 1st prediction videos and one of the things I said in there is Joe Biden will not be on the top of the ticket come November. There you go. Okay. And exactly all the reasons that we talked about, whole 9 yards. I mean, this is all methodical, and it shouldn't surprise anybody. We already answered that. My McIntyre, she thinks she can win on abortion alone. I mean, what was it? Abortion's like the number 7 topic that people are concerned about. The topic that will win the election, like it does every year, is the economy. And she should get crushed on the economy because I don't care how much she wants to try to say this was Joe's. She owns it. She was the Veep. Okay. It's not like you're getting away from it going, well, I didn't pay attention for the last 4 years. I was just pulling a Jeff Spicoli out in the back. No, it doesn't fly. Kathy Shelley, the Dems are trying to push Project 25 as Trump's, but Project 47 is. You're correct on that. And again, they keep saying it over and over and over again. Project 25 was written by the Heritage Foundation. Trump has said he had nothing to do with it, and the Heritage Foundation said he had nothing to do with it. It's their wish list for what they want to see. It's the wish list for what a bunch of never Trumpers want to see for the Republican candidate. They're never Trumpers. Why the hell would it be Trump's policy? But, Democrat, inflate to 40 PSI. My McIntyre again. Pelosi says Biden is the most consequential president in our lifetime. Yeah, we've all faced the most consequences because of him. High crime, can't afford anything. Yeah. Consequential? Yeah, I'll give you that. Let's see. Yeah, thank you, Vicky. Lincoln's on Mount Rushmore, Washington, Jefferson, and Teddy Roosevelt. Thank you. I'm like, who the hell is there? I'm thinking, it's like, okay, Washington, Jefferson, and then my mind just went completely blank. So, yes, I make mistakes too. New Jersey prepper. I'm delaying my move to Florida to cast a vote for Trump in Jersey. He's in the lead. I have not seen a poll yet where he's in the lead, but I know he was close. But that would really throw a curveball into the election. Ugh, that would really freak out a lot of people if Trump all of a sudden did win Jersey. Not saying it's not possible by any means. I mean, Chris Christie was a Republican, or what passed as a Republican at that time. So it is possible to vote for him. Then, I mean, Trump's got, well known, not that he's not well known everywhere, but I mean, home was in New York, New Jersey. So very possible. But just make sure you take care of you. Okay. If things start getting ugly, get out. One vote is important, but your life is more important. Oh, sorry. Roger Dodger, hey Pinball, any use for cheesecloth for preppers? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, first off, if you're making anything like dumplings or something like that, because you're going to be making food like that with flour and water, so you're going to want something to make that. There you go. But cheesecloth is also going to be potentially something that you could wind up using as like a gauze. I mean, in a pinch, you're going to use what you have. Cheesecloth is definitely something worth having. Yeah, it's strong enough that it's going to carry something if you need be, and lightweight enough that you can fold it up and put it in a bag. Having cheesecloth is worthwhile. Kelly Little Smalley. Yeah, if your name is Little Smalley, I would agree with you when you say 5'6" is tall. Okay. 5'6" is average as far as I'm concerned for a woman, but okay. Kathy Shelley, executive order is not law. That is correct. My McIntyre, I'm barely 5 foot. My husband's 6'5". We met hiking a mountain. There you go. Okay. Ultra MAGA Patriot, did I hear that Tampon Tim couldn't pass a security clearance? Yes, I did. Background check under the Biden administration because he has ties to communist China, and now he's running for VP. Yeah, this is the thing. He went and he taught English in China for a year. That was his first teaching job. Then every year up until 2003, he went and vacationed in China. He and his wife took their honeymoon in China. They started a business in China for foreign exchange students. So yeah, he's got a lot of ties to China. Raccoon Eyes, thank you for the super chat there. Let me see if I can figure this thing out here. Just out of curiosity, how well do you think Ross Perot would have been? I think he would have done very well because he had a lot better economic ideas. And then either Bush or Clinton, and then if you add what happened, we went up in the internet age all of a sudden during that time. The world would be a very different place, and the United States be in much better financial shape. Okay, let's see, where else do we go? Sword 5000, they're already rigging this. They'll never let Trump be president. That's the thing. We have to do it so they don't have they can't stop it. That's what, because if he is not elected, chances are we have a revolution, because there is no way in the world that the tax-paying public accepts Kamala Harris if it's a cheat. If it was a legitimate election, we'd lick our wounds and go. But every time everybody looks at this whack job, they go, there's no way in the world she wins a legitimate election. She couldn't get one delegate in the 2020 primary. She had to drop out. She was polling so bad. You can't tell me she went from dropping out before the primaries even start to winning an election. That just doesn't happen. Tug Hill, what's a good country left to move to? It's funny, I was talking with Brett about that yesterday. I said, if you had to leave the country, where would you go? And he's like, well, you'd go to El Salvador, you'd go to Colombia, you could always go to Switzerland. But that's the thing. There isn't, you know. And I always remember the guy who washed up in Cuba years ago, and when the reporter said, "Oh, you're so lucky you got to the United States," and the Cuban guy said, "No." He goes, "You're the lucky ones." He goes, "I had somewhere to go." And he's right, there is nowhere else. We either save this or it's done, guys. There is nowhere else to go. Michigan lifestyle. Did any of my classmates talk about politics? I just made one snide joke. One of the guy we were talking about investing at one point, and one guy was like, "Oh yeah, we bought some Nvidia stock and it did really well, and it went up to 600 and it split, so we made good money in it and everything." And we were talking, and I'm like, but he's like, "Oh, but I'm really conservative." I'm thinking to myself, not if you bought Nvidia, you're not conservative. That's aggressive investing, going after something like that. And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I kind of follow Warren Buffett's theory. And I agree with that. You buy companies with stuff that and you hold for the long term." And I just made the comment real quick. I said, "Why would you follow Warren Buffett? He's the second best stock picker in the world. Why not follow the first?" Like, "Oh, who's that?" I said, "Nancy Pelosi, of course." I just wanted to see what the response I got was. One guy laughed, he didn't. So that was my litmus test to see where everybody fell on the political spectrum. Uh, let's see. Scott Beto, yesterday was my birthday. Happy birthday. It was great. Woke up in a good mood. Was ruined with the announcement of our governor to be chosen for VP. Well, look at the bright side of things. First off, he's not getting elected. Okay. And maybe with a little luck, he will resign the governorship. Now, I can't say anything about your lieutenant governor. I don't know, but I'm guessing it's probably as incompetent and corrupt as Tim Walz is. Washburn Billy, do I think there will be an election or martial law? I still say it's 50-50. I don't know. I'm not optimistic, but I'm not pessimistic. Gigi's Garden, any concerns that Kamala will address the economy with promises of government, socialistic spending, and buy votes that way? Of course she will, okay? She's going to talk about how to pay off your student debts again, your student loans, all these things that she can't do, but she'll make the promises. She'll inevitably get in and talk about reparations, all the free money that she wants to hand out. That's inevitable. That's a standard Democrat platform. A lot of people saying good night. I know we're close. Let's see if there's anything else. Caveman, look, just PO'd my mom and dad asking about what policies of Biden's and Harris's they back. Yeah, that's always the great question. What do you like about her? And you can hear crickets. Linda Bob Pinball, you have yourself some wonderful, hardworking moderators. Hope you know that they are all appreciated. I do. I know very well, and I thank them often for their work. I know they are busting butt doing what they do in here. So that was all that. Michigan lifestyle. Is it true that there will still be an election in World War III, but not an election in Civil War? No, because if you go through it, we still had an election in 1864, okay? And we still had an election throughout the 30s and into the 40s, okay? So we don't have a scenario ever to fall back on to say, well, no, if we're in World War, well, it didn't happen during World War I, didn't happen during World War II. Can't say for Civil War because it didn't happen when we were in Civil War either. But that doesn't, history doesn't always repeat itself. All we need is Joe Biden to say, "I'm declaring martial law," And as long as you get a bunch of governors that say, yep, we agree, there we are, and that will lead to chaos. So, all right, guys, that is it. It is 9 o'clock. Have a good evening. We'll see you in the morning. Pinball out.